Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready? Prepare for blast off.
Your fortress of solitude.
Greetings, program!
Glad you're alive.
Your sanctum sanctorum.
Resistance is futile.
Welcome.
This your first triumph. This is where the fun begins.
Proof positive that geeks have inherited the earth.
It's showtime.
It's time to get your geek on
You complete me.
with Dave Gramillion.
All right, welcome here. It is another episode of Get Your Geek On here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. I am Dave Gramillion, and this is the premier talk radio show for Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, esports, video gaming, really all things geek that have dominated this little world of ours. You see, geek is not what it was 20 or 30 years ago. Geek is in. Geek is very in. Geek is now the mainstream, and we're here to talk the latest and greatest that is geek right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This is Season 2, Episode 47, which means this is really our 99th episode overall. So next week will be our 100th episode extravaganza, bonanza, spectacular, extraordinaire. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Oh, goodness. What else do we have going on? I guess there's a little Marvel news we can talk about. I guess there was this little movie that came out last week. You may have heard of it. It was called, Thanos, the Hand of Fate. In case you missed that, Thanos, the Hand of Fate. Apparently, it is the sequel to Manos, the Hands of Fate. So that was nice that they pulled that out. That was pretty cool. We'll talk about the Infinity Oven Mitt of Destiny and what all that has to entail. And some Power Rangers news to also talk about. We haven't talked Power Rangers in a while, so it's good to talk about that for a bit. And we just can't get by without talking about Zack Snyder, DCEU news as well. We can't help ourselves. Of course, he makes it so easy nowadays. He's almost turning into the Michael Bay of directors as far as lobbing up those softballs that we can just knock right out of the park. And speaking of directors and producers, it's kind of funny how nobody is talking about Kevin Feige. He's the president, CEO, grand poobah of Marvel Studios. Yes, that, by the way, that's actually on his business card, grand poobah. That's kind of cool. Of course, when you're Kevin Feige, you can have whatever you want on your business card. And we need to talk about this guy and everything that he's put together, been able to hold together with as little drama as possible, with the exception of Mark Ruffalo opening his mouth and recording things he shouldn't be recording. And
Edward Norton not coming back.
Yeah, we'll talk a few things there. But let me go ahead and introduce my cohorts, my partners in crime tonight. If you look to my left, your right, across the radio dial, you will see the man who has kept the Star Wars Society of San Antonio running like a well-oiled machine. He is the Grand Admiral over there. He is our minion, Peter Gonzalez.
Just hot trails of Fiesta here, so.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Last week we had a great run over at the King William Fair Parade.
Okay, cool. How much fun was that?
Everything was going great until Kylo Ren got to about towards the end and started to smell some of the food and got sick.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
And about a block to go, and it was like, okay, he'll
I'm done.
And like a good dad, I have to keep an eye on my son.
Hey, there you go. Very cool. If you look further to my left, your right, across the radio dial, you will see the man spinning the ones and zeros. He is our sound prognosticator. He is Goose.
Want to go? Don't want to go. I don't want to go.
That was one of the more interesting
Hello.
intros there, Goose.
Yes, it was.
How you doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah, I don't.
That was
I don't feel well.
me at the end of Infinity. No,
I don't feel well.
no. When Infinity War ended, I was like, I don't want to go. They need to finish this.
Yeah.
This is not the end of the movie.
Yeah, show the next movie, please. That'd be great. Just Infinity War Part 2. Right now, we're good to go. Alrighty. So.
Oh, you realize how much money that double feature is going to make next year?
All the money.
All the
All
money.
the money. People will sell their cars, their mortgages, the whole 9 yards to go see that
Their
thing.
children.
So. Alrighty, so next week is our 100th episode. We've been able to stay on the air for 100 episodes without the FCC throwing us off. Isn't that
99
something?
so far.
Well, next week. Next week's the 100th. So that's an accomplishment that the government hasn't shut us down yet. So that's always good news. And what I want to do is something a little unique, something that we've never, ever, 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 ever done before.
Human sacrifice?
Well, no, we did that. Okay. Oh, that was before you got here, though.
Okay, no problem. That was my...
I want to open up the entire show, not just a half or anything like that. The entire show to you. We're going to take calls next week. We're going to take calls right here. Now, that means we have to pre-record and that sort of thing, so you can't actually call when we're on the air.
That's Mother's Day weekend, and
yeah,
we got to take care of our moms.
Yeah, we're not going to be at the studio at 11 o'clock at night on that particular Saturday. So Thursday at 6 o'clock, we are going to record the show, and you can call in then on any topic you want. It is the 100th anniversary. I did it again, man.
We've been here for 100 years.
Oh, goodness. The 100th episode.
Sometimes it feels like 100 years,
And
sonny.
I want to open up to y'all. I want y'all to call in and give us your thoughts. If you disagree with us about any point in particular, that's fine. Bring it. I certainly welcome that. If you agree with us, I certainly welcome that too. If you want to tell us how awesome we are, go for it. That'd be great. We can talk about anything y'all want to talk about that's geeky related next week. So we're going to open up to y'all. We're going to open up for callers next week. We're also going to be heading to Comic Palooza. This is now confirmed and official. At the end of this month, May 25th, Memorial Day weekend, we will be in Houston at the convention center to see Comic Palooza, and we will interview Dante Bosco. I already have some feelers out there for other interviews, but Dante Bosco has confirmed we will have a sit down with him. You may, if you don't remember the name Dante Bosco, you may remember the name Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah. You may also remember Rufio from Hook. Yeah, how cool is that? So we will be able to sit down with Dante Bosco next week, and you can find the next week. Hello.
End of the month.
I need some caffeine. That's what I need.
Have
At the
some
end
apples.
of the month, Comic Palooza. That's where we will be at. And if you're in the Houston area and you want to come see us also, hey, that's fine too. Let's go out. We can get something to eat. We can hang out at the convention. Let's have a good time. It's Houston. It's Texas. It's a convention. Let's have a great time. Alrighty. Let's see. So that pretty much covers the basic news there. So let's go ahead and we'll step right into some Marvel news.
This is that sequel to the smash hit with no equal. This one's for the true fans with Hulk hands and action figures. Flying, dining.
Alrighty, this is brought to you by our friends over at Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. New location out that way. Did you miss Free Comic Book Day?
Oh, I was there.
You were there. I was there. We're all that's where we love to be.
It's like Christmas.
It is. It's Christmas in May. But that's okay because Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch is your headquarters for all things comic books, all things tournaments, gaming, tabletop, figures, paints, the whole 9 yards. It's Dragon's Lair out at Alamo Ranch. All right, so I guess we need to talk about the big news.
Yes.
The really big news that came out, and that's the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer.
That was really fun.
Yeah, actually, that was cool looking.
After that other movie came out, this was the lighthearted trailer we really needed to pick our
Yeah,
It
spirits
was like
up.
a palate cleanser, man.
It really was. That's a good way of
Yes,
putting it. I like
was
that.
Definitely, because since everything in Infinity War was just so shocking, you needed something that was like a little uplifting.
It was, and I like this one. The trailer was well received by the fans, as it should be. I'm looking forward to this movie. It comes out in July, so that's practically around the corner already.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be a great summer blockbuster season, which is good because we've had some lousy ones in the past few years. But this trailer pumped me up.
April and May is going to be a good blockbuster season.
Yeah, that's about right. All right, so let's talk about, seriously though, let's get to the big Marvel news. And did you know that we almost had an Iron Man movie in the mid-2000s?
Really?
Now, Iron Man 1 came out 10 years ago. This is the 10th anniversary for the MCU, which is great. But we almost had an Iron Man movie in the mid-2000s, and guess who they wanted to get to play Tony Stark?
Who?
Tom Cruise.
Why?
What?
Can you picture Maverick?
No.
Actually, I can a little bit.
Actually,
a little bit. If he wanted to be Maverick, it's kind of hard to picture him because we think of him as the Mission Impossible. What was that time travel movie he was in with the aliens, and that didn't make a lot of sense. Something about tomorrow. I don't know.
There was. That one. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah, I can kind of see
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. If he doesn't be that Tom Cruise, if he's more of the Maverick Tom Cruise, I can almost see it.
So more of like the risky business and
the more lighthearted, fun side.
Well,
but
no.
Yeah, he's not Robert Downey.
No.
There's no way.
Robert Downey just owns that role.
I can almost see it though. It's
if Tom Cruise would have been cast at that point, it would have been just another comic book movie.
It would have been.
It probably would have been. Absolutely. So
Eddie Murphy as Sam Wilson.
No, I could see that.
Maybe in the 80s, maybe, but not now.
All right, how about Tom Cruise as Tony Stark in the 90s?
I could kind of see
I
it
could
at
see that.
point.
Like early 90s Tom Cruise.
But they would have never been able to lead it to Infinity War. It would have just been another comic book movie.
Like everything else in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay, if I could build an Iron Man Dream Team movie, Tom Cruise from like Top Gun days. Okay, Eddie Murphy from the 80s.
Like Beverly Hills Cop?
Like Beverly Hills Cop Eddie Murphy. And then think about this. Think about this for a minute. Katie Holmes as Pepper Potts. But Katie Holmes from like
the 2000s?
Batman Begins.
2005?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I can see that because she's not a very, let's face it, she's not a very dynamic actress. She's not that loud, boisterous. She's not Charlize Theron. She's not that type of actress. I could see that. Or she may be a little too young, but Anne Hathaway as Pepper Potts.
Maybe. But I honestly think they did a good job with casting. I think they've done a good job of keeping everybody. To be honest, Robert Downey Jr. has probably been the longest running comic book actor of all time.
Well, except for Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. But think about this. If they redid Iron Man today, do you know who would be Robert Downey, who would be Tony Stark? The Rock. Yeah. He's in everything.
And then John Cena would be Captain America.
John Cena.
Oh, let's stop while we're ahead. Thank God we didn't go that route.
Okay.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is Nick Fury.
Oh, there we go. Who would Goldberg be?
Oh, Ultron.
There we go.
Or Thor.
Or Thanos.
Goldberg could be Thor.
Or Thanos.
Or Thanos, yes.
Andre the Giant could be Kingpin. You know, why
Andre's
not?
dead, dude.
Well, but with the Dream Team, we're bringing, from wherever. All right, so I guess we should finally stop beating around the bush here, and let's just talk Infinity War for a little bit. Yes. All right, so here's the good news. Here's the good news as we're jamming out here. Box office records smashed include opening weekend worldwide, biggest opening in the spring, biggest opening in April, biggest opening for a PG-13 movie, biggest money on Saturday, Sunday, over a 3-day period, and the fastest movie to $250 million.
Wow.
This thing just blew apart the box office, which we all thought it would.
Well, it's been building for years.
It had been. But, there was actually a time, I think it was like on Friday, when some estimates came in that it was only going to hit about 240 and that it wouldn't break the record. I started reading some of the estimates, and I'm like, there's no way. This thing, maybe it's not going to... I called $263 million at the box office. It hit 258. I was close.
And so who do you have the records of who called what?
I'll have to go back and look.
I think I did bid the lowest.
Well, the bet, however, the one chip challenge bet was for worldwide total. So we're going to have to talk about that like at the end of June or something. But
you think the theatrical run of this is ending in June?
Well, end of June, we ought to have a pretty good idea at that point. So... but a lot of people are out there, they're talking. You can find reviews anywhere and everywhere on YouTube, on Instagram, on wallstreetjournal.com, all over the place about what they thought of the effects and the characters and the deaths and this and that and blah, 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 blah.
Wait, there's deaths?
Well, yeah, that's
Spoiler alert.
That's a good one. So they're all over the place. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to go around the room and say what we thought of the movie because that's boring. So let's do something about this. Let's try this. One thing.
Somebody in our Facebook chat at facebook.com says GYGO Radio hasn't seen it yet.
Uh-oh.
No, we've seen it.
No. Somebody
Reagan.
in the chat
Oh, right.
hasn't seen it.
Reagan Hall.
Okay, well, that's good because we're going to keep this spoiler free also, so that helps.
Okay.
All right, so one thing that really surprised you about the movie, spoiler free, but one thing that really surprised you about the movie.
I guess I'm going first.
Yeah, go ahead, Minion.
I'd have to say, well, not spoiler free there, but Captain America's appearance.
Okay.
When he first comes out, everybody cheered.
And we saw that appearance in the trailer.
And we saw that in the trailer, so,
Right.
so that's okay. Goose, one thing that surprised you.
So, as we know, I'm basically the DC apologist on this show.
Yes, you are.
But every movie after Man of Steel, with the exception of Wonder Woman, has become a cluster over the course of that film, with way less characters than Infinity War had.
That's true.
In Infinity War, I could always follow what was going on, and it didn't become the just nonsensical special effects laden
Cluster.
that Batman versus Superman was and Justice League was.
You know, it's funny now. Marvel's known for being lighthearted and having these fun movies. Now they've officially done dark movies better than the DCEU have. It's official. I mean, I'm sorry. There's just no question about it. And I like this. John Biscardi in the chat at facebook.com/GYGO radio. He says the biggest death in Avengers Infinity War, the DCEU.
Ouch.
Let me bring this up for comparison.
This hurts.
Opening weekend.
This is going to hurt me a lot, I can tell.
Opening weekend for Avengers Infinity War was $257 million. That's domestic. The entire domestic run for Justice League, the entire run, $229 million. Do we have taps? Can we play taps? You know, the funeral.
Hey,
or something?
our crickets are here.
Crickets are here, so that's something. Gracious. All right. One thing that surprised me, I have to say, was how separated the characters were.
Yes.
How it took place on different places. I thought it would be like the trailers, that Thanos shows up on Earth and everyone comes together on Earth and they fight him on Earth, and it's all, you know, and you'll see buildings explode and Man of Steel bridges and it really wasn't all that. It's there, but it's not all that. So, all right, one thing you wanted to see more of in Infinity War. And by the way, if this is a little bit of a spoiler, or maybe you just want to avoid Infinity War talk altogether, come back at the bottom half of the hour. We'll have moved on from then. One thing that you wanted more of, I'll start off on this one, Hulk.
Yes.
I wanted more of his story, more of what happened to him, more of his struggle. I wanted more of that.
Actually, I was kind of surprised with what we got, and I was kind of happy with what we got because, again, there's a part 2 to this. And you're seeing some of the struggle after what happened in the first part of the movie.
Right?
Seeing him deal with it throughout the movie.
Yeah, but I don't want... I didn't want it to be resolved there, but I wanted an introspective moment. Because in the Avengers and Age of Ultron, you saw a moment in the trailer where Hulk is, you know, he's Bruce Banner and he's all like huddled up and he's, oh my God, what's happening? I can't handle this. And you had it again here. But I was hoping for just a little more of his story and his point of view. Just a little bit. Minion, one thing that you wanted more of.
Well, one thing I have to really compliment them on is how they were able to balance all the seriousness with also bits of comedy.
Okay,
and
but did you want more serious or more comedy? Or
I think they balanced it out.
Yeah, but what do you want more of?
Gosh, it was hard to say because I was just overly impressed with the whole thing. More of, and I was talking with one of our guys down the hall here, a little bit more Captain America.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He kind of took more of a backseat to this one.
I can see that.
You didn't see him really come out more until they were in Wakanda.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, when they're fighting Thanos, when Captain America's fighting Thanos, and that's not a spoiler either because you see it in the trailer, he grabs the Infinity Gauntlet because he's trying to they're punching. That's really kind of the high point for Cap. Mm-hmm. So, okay, all right, that's good. Goose, what did you want to see more of?
I wanted more of Like I said, I didn't want to go. It's like, no, give me more.
I want that Peter Jackson 3.5 hour cut.
No, I'd be okay with a 6 hour cut. Bring both movies together, 6 hours. Let's go.
Okay, one thing you wanted less of in the movie. Let's start with Goose. We haven't started with you yet.
So I actually wanted less moving around. I wanted everybody together in the first place.
Yeah.
I have to agree.
I mean, it would have sped up and it would not have made the dramatic parts as dramatic. But I would have loved to see everybody come together sooner.
Yeah.
But I liked why they didn't, and I know why, and I liked everything about that movie, except, I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I have to agree with Goose here.
Okay.
Mainly because I mean, like you said, I can see how everybody's kind of spread out for a reason. But I didn't want to have everybody all together, just like how you did in the comic, where everybody just went against Thanos.
Something I wanted less of was the stupid humor. Humor's good. I like the jokes. But there's one scene in particular, and I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for this one. Bring it. That's fine.
Send all your hate tweets to @GYGO_radio.
Like Drax. He's on the ship, and he's all, I've mastered the art of being invisible by moving really slowly. And they're like, no, dude, we can see you.
Okay.
No, I'm moving my spoon really slowly. No, dude, that's the equivalent of a 5-year-old putting his hands over his eyes and saying, I'm invisible. You can't see me.
So,
and I'm like, that's stupid humor.
As we know, as we all, the three of us all know, and those of you who have seen me perform know, I like to make the joke. I like to throw the joke in.
You like it a joke. Huh?
I like it a joke. Yes, indeed. But sometimes, and you got to hold back because you need to let that drama just stand on its own for a little bit. With Guardians, they don't have a whole lot of drama.
That's true.
In Thor Ragnarok, the comedy was over the top. I could have done with a lot less of that.
Yeah, I could have as well. It's just, and some of the jokes in there were really funny.
But some of them were just nonsensical.
Like Raccoon, Rocket talking to
Thor.
No, not
Bucky.
Thor. Bucky. He's like, I'm gonna get that arm. That's funny. That's funny.
That's just his character.
It's just just not a spoiler. It's just a joke.
But it's a matter of when two characters are having a moment.
I just don't want stupid humor. I mean, Drax making a joke about maybe their moment and how weird it was, or maybe how it reminds him of his wife, and that's why he's glad she's not around or something. That's funny. That's okay. But him doing the whole "you can't see me, I'm invisible," dude. Yeah.
I think that came from Dave Bautista hanging out with John Cena too much.
I think more than likely
Maybe.
that was, definitely. Alrighty, so with that being said, we have this is going to be interesting. We haven't talked Power Rangers in a while. Let's talk Power Rangers.
It's not on the usual list. So I just search for it.
Here, let's do it one more time. Let's get everyone a little pumped up.
Lord, here we
We're
go.
going to talk Power Rangers.
Go, Power Rangers!
Hey, there we go. I like that one. And this is brought to you by our friends over at Laser Legend. Laser Legend over on the north side of San Antonio off of Loop 1604 and Lookout Road is not quite to Rolling Oaks Mall and not quite I-35. It's kind of sandwiched in the middle there. Mm-hmm. This place is so much fun. They have a 4,000 square foot video game arcade. They have a 2-floor laser tag arena. They have great food. They've got great drinks. They've got fountain drinks on, ready to go. And they've got these massive cups that drink will last you for quite a while. They also have some great prizes. Do you know that they actually have an actual cosmonaut training helmet?
I remember that.
An actual, it never went into space, but it's an actual cosmonaut training helmet that they have in there. What? So you can go in there and take a look at that as well. Air hockey, pinball, Star Wars Battle Pod is in there, which you own that thing.
Well,
man.
I did.
You
I don't know if
rock
I
it.
still do or not, but
also an indoor miniature golf course, all done up with black lights and some. By the way, it's May. It's getting hot out there. Their air conditioning is top notch.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Believe me. We had a Darth Vader cosplayer come out there recently when we had our Get Your Game On event, and he marveled. He was like, "Dude, I mean, the outfit's kind of heavy, but I'm not as hot as I usually am."
that's right.
Yeah, Vader costumes are good for December.
Yes, they are wonderful for December. So you want to head over to our friends over at Laser Legend. Okay, so Power Rangers. Why are we talking Power Rangers? Because they have officially been sold They're no longer part of Saban Entertainment, which they've been just since the dawn of time, since the 90s when they got insanely popular and made a career out of Get Your Geek On alumni Amy Jo Johnson. But now they've been bought by Hasbro for $500 million.
This is the second time Saban has sold it. He sold it to Disney in the early 2000s and then bought it back.
Yes, he did. And it's before you go crazy, it's $230 million in cash, $270 million in stocks. Just like the deal to sell Star Wars, or rather all of Lucasfilm, was $4 billion, but it was $2 billion in cash and $2 billion in stocks. George Lucas did not get $4 billion out of it, just like Saban Entertainment also didn't get $500 million. They didn't write him a check or anything. So Hasbro already owns Transformers and the rights to make Marvel and Star Wars toys. Their revenue is a whopping $5.2 billion last year.
They also own G.I. Joe.
And they own G.I. Joe, so that's very cool.
And Star Wars toys. Yeah.
We'll be back here after the bottom of the hour news break. We got some DCEU news to talk about right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and 930amtheanswer.com.
Hi, this is George Newbern, the voice of Superman, and you're listening to Get Your Geek On, 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Alrighty, welcome back from the bottom half of the hour news break. This is Get Your Geek On 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio. I am Dave Gramillion, and if you missed the first half of the show, we talked about, well, we finally got into some Marvel news that was a lot of fun to talk about. We talked about the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. We also gave you a little bit of knowledge, a little nugget of knowledge regarding an Iron Man movie that almost was before Robert Downey Jr. And then, of course, we got a new Infinity War in a big-time way. Not necessarily what we liked about
85% spoiler free.
Yeah, 95, 96, 90. Wait, hold on. Okay, we've calculated it's 96.27% spoiler free.
Yes.
So there you go. But it's also not a lot of, what was your favorite part? And did you like this or did you like that or whatever?
No, we're saving that for a later discussion.
Yeah, that's down the road.
A couple weeks away.
Definitely down the road. Also, don't forget you can check out our op-eds and our news articles regarding the Infinity War, including why Thanos was such a terrific villain and what villains mean overall for good movies, over at getyourgeekon.org. Subscribe so that you get all the latest news, the breaking news, all the news that matters sent right to your inbox, getyourgeekon.org. Okay, so with that being said, I think we can go ahead and move on, and let's talk about some DC news, shall we? Alrighty, and this is brought to you by a new sponsor to the show, Havoc, the heroes and villains of cosplay right here in San Antonio. They're a cosplaying group that certainly anybody can petition and join and apply, and you can go cosplaying with them. Check out their Facebook at facebook.com/Havoc Texas, HAVOC Texas, and catch them at Halfway to Halloween, which is also coming up May 19th at the Wonderland Mall. They'll be out there in force, and you can go out there and see what they're all about. So DC has promised, we got this email a few days ago, and they promised the DC Universe, which will be a first-of-its-kind, immersive, digital experience designed just for EU fans.
Designed just for DC fans, not EU fans.
Oh, that's right. DC.
The movies
fans,
are designed for EU fans, that's why everybody's going to go to DC Universe.
They go on to say, one of the many incredible things your membership will include, and they don't say what that costs or anything.
Not yet.
Is unlimited access to the following exclusive original series.
Mm-hmm.
Do they mean comic series or do they mean...
No, they mean live action and or
animated.
Live action and or animated.
Here are the new series that are coming out that you can find only on the DC Universe. I assume it's an app of some kind.
Probably.
Titans.
Which is going to be live action. We've seen some promo shots of that.
Unfortunately.
I don't think it's one of their... This must probably be like a in-between moment or something like that.
That could be. Swamp Thing.
That looks interesting.
I don't know if it's going to be CGI or live action. USA did a live action Swamp Thing series in the 90s, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, it could be done, but I think it'd be done cheaper and probably, less makeup and costuming if they did it CGI.
Yeah, there was a Swamp Thing cartoon, I think, in the 80s or 90s, too. But,
Young Justice Outsiders.
which will be the third season of the popular Cartoon Network show Young Justice.
Oh, awesome! That was a great
it's a
series.
continuation of the Young Justice series that was on Cartoon Network.
So that'll be animated as well. And then Harley Quinn.
I lay you odds that one's going to be animated.
I bet it is too. Well, first of all, if it's not, there's no way they're getting Margot Robbie for a series. There's no way she'll be
You don't
tied.
know how much money they would throw at her.
Not enough to tie her down and keep her off of other sets. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. So I'm betting it's going to be an animated or a CGI series.
And that's all the information we have about DC Universe at the present time.
That's really it.
We don't know what archive series are going to be on it. I'm hoping for everything ever.
I'm hoping it'll have a nice mix where you can, like on the Marvel app, where you can go to and download comics and read comics too. That'd be fun.
It's saying it's going to be immersive, but I'm hoping that, gathered together from across the galaxies are the 13 greatest villains of all time, the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, they don't really describe what an immersive digital experience
very
is.
vague.
And they also say first of its kind. Was that first of its kind for DC fans, or was that first of a kind, period?
Since we don't know exactly what it is yet. Because, Marvel has their Unlimited, which is comic book only.
Yes.
So if you want your Marvel movies, you got to go to Netflix or to Vudu and things like that. Oh, until the Disney app comes out, and then which is actually available in the UK right now, which is weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
But then you'll have to go there. But with DC, there hasn't actually been a whole lot of news outside. They're going to have their original series, which are Titan, Swamp Thing, Harley Quinn, and Young Justice.
Now, last year, before Justice League was even finished, Zack Snyder's daughter killed herself.
Yes, unfortunately.
And that it is an unspeakable tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
So he stepped away, Joss Whedon came in, and the rest is history.
The news came out that he actually got fired, but
yeah. Well, at least we're pretty sure he got fired. Not really any solid confirmation either way. He was on some pretty rocky terrain with Warner Brothers anyway, and so I put a moratorium on all Zack Snyder jokes, insults, criticisms. I mean, let's let the guy be. But then he had to come out and do this
again.
He hinted pretty strongly that that Supergirl is either coming to the DCEU or is already in the DCEU.
Okay.
According to Zack Snyder, there's an Easter egg in Batman vs. Superman that he says is practically in plain sight. And it hints very strongly about Kara being in Batman Superman or something along those lines. He was pretty vague about the whole thing.
Okay. If it's not Melissa Benoist from Supergirl, I'm not interested.
I'm not either,
because she is just phenomenal in that TV series. She carries it so well. Okay, I know Goose is going to go up in a second.
Are you fading away? Did Thanos snap his fingers or something there, Goose? Because you're looking like you're Goose.
Breathe, Goose. Breathe.
Goose.
Breathe,
dude.
I've been holding back for a really long time.
Here we go.
Keep it professional, please.
Look, Mr. Snyder, you're not a great director if you have to keep on explaining how great your movie is and about there's things that we missed because I guess we're stupid. I don't know. But guess what? You're gone. You're no longer. I don't care if you had intended to bring Supergirl in the DCEU. You are no longer part of the DCEU, and you need to stop it. You need to stop it right now. Because, with 300, we got it, man. Everything was right there. It was good. Man of Steel? Batman versus Superman? I heard the extra 20 minutes that you added in makes it a better movie. Well, sorry. And then Justice League was so unwatchable, your original cut, that they fired you, and Joss Whedon had to come in and do what he could with it. That's why there's a little cardboard sign that said, I tried at the beginning of Justice League. He tried to make it a watchable movie. So don't don't keep trolling us, because that's all it is at this point. You are trolling us. You are gone from the DCEU, and you need to stop talking about it.
Here's what I don't understand. He says the Easter egg is in plain sight. You think, with as many people that have watched it,
And has scrubbed that movie.
yeah, and have actually, people do a lot of detail because they're looking for clues in the next movies and all that. You'd think somebody would have picked up on that by now.
The only thing I can think of is that she's in Zod's ship.
Or if she's like somewhere in the Capitol building, she's like in the crowd. Maybe she's covering it for Catco.
But Superman would know.
He was pretty distracted by the fact that everybody died.
But in every, that's right, everybody died.
And if
But
she could have used super speed to also hightail it
but
on out
in
of there.
every telling of that story, she came in the rocket and Superman found her, and guided her and coached her and everything
that's
else.
true.
You can see that in the Supergirl series.
And at this point, it had been 18 months since the Battle of Metropolis.
Yep. So where's she been?
And what the heck, dude?
Yeah, I'm not buying this Easter egg Batman Superman thing. I'm not buying it.
It's trolling. That's
just,
all Peter. That's all Zack Snyder is good for.
He's
in the
trying to
DCU
stay
is
relevant.
trolling.
He's trying to stay relevant.
Maybe we should.
He's probably pretty pissed that he got fired. And you know what happens when? All right, so Jason Witten retired this week.
Yes.
Right. You know what happens when when a professional athlete retires? Because we've heard this story
He
countless
goes on,
times.
does commentary on television.
Well, besides that, the first couple of weeks after they retire, and they don't have to go work out, 8 days a week, and they kind of take it easy, then they're kind of like, hey, this is pretty great. Maybe they travel, they go down to Cabo for a while, they go to wherever they want to go. They have a great time. But then a couple of weeks after that, they start to get kind of itchy. And they're like, because it's been a part of their life for 20, 25 years, and now it's not. Mm-hmm. And they start to miss the locker room. They start to miss the field. I think that's what's going on here. I think Zack Snyder, he's getting itchy now. And he's like, I'm not involved in projects. I'm not involved in the DCEU. Well, I need to stay relevant.
If you wanted to be involved in the DCEU, he shouldn't have made 2.5 god-awful movies.
Well, yeah, that too.
I think Thanos needs to snap his fingers at Zack Snyder and just...
Well, no, hang on now.
Really, Chris Nolan doesn't need it either. Chris Nolan is good for dark and gritty, but we don't need dark and gritty in the DCU.
It hadn't worked, first of all.
Well, no, it worked with Batman, but it's Batman.
But you don't really need to do dark and gritty because Wonder Woman really wasn't dark, all that really
No,
dark.
that wasn't Chris Nolan either.
Yeah.
And that wasn't Zack Snyder either.
No, there are plenty of directors out there that can take the reins here, but it's Zack. I really honestly believe that he feels bad now that he's left out of all this. He sees that Warner Brothers is finally starting to get their act together and move forward. They're announcing some movies. They got Shazam coming up. They got the Flash movie, and they're moving on without him. And I think, honest to God, I think that he is sitting around going, I got nothing to do. I'm not working on any projects. There are no scripts that are coming my way. I need to stay relevant. I need to work. I need a movie. And I think that this is what he's trying to do.
Go do another 300 sequel.
Yeah, that's true. that too.
Possibly.
Although they all died, so I don't know how that would work.
Now, Philip asked in our Facebook chat that's found when we go live on Facebook at facebook.com/GYGO Radio. Did you guys hear the original Superman and Batman music in BVS?
Well, he meant Justice League.
Justice League. Okay.
Did you hear the Superman and Batman
I did.
music? Yeah. Danny Elfman slipped some of those themes in there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was pretty nice little nod and homage. So, but can we? Speaking of directors and producers, let's go from a guy who can't seem to get it right to a guy who has gotten it right every single time, with minor exceptions.
Okay.
Minor exceptions. Even Thor: The Dark World still made bank. Okay, so...
And was still part of the first season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
All right, so when everybody talks about producers, because that's what Kevin Feige is. He's a producer. He's not a director.
Oh, we're talking a Mel Brooks movie now?
We're talking about Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah. Great producer.
Okay.
You talk about Michael...
I don't know. Have you seen Batman Forever or Batman and Robin?
You talk Michael Bay, whom, you can say what you want about his movies, but they are visually very good, and they do make bank.
They do.
And when you talk about great producers, his name is at the top of the list. Brian Grazer, another great producer in Hollywood.
Yes.
Ron Howard, legendary producer in Hollywood. This guy's a great producer. But nobody talks about Kevin Feige. And now that Infinity War is out, Can we talk about this guy for a bit?
I have to give this guy a lot of credit, mainly because he's one of us. He's a nerd like us.
Yeah.
He knows the comics. He did the right casting,
Everything was pretty much good.
Yeah, because when Iron Man first came out, I was kind of like, okay, well, whatever, another comic book movie. Then they started to slowly build on everything, and it just went from there, and you just have to give credit.
The best analog for Kevin Feige in DC is Greg Berlanti.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
He's been the closest thing to Kevin Feige that DC has.
Now, when it comes to, I mean, is it just me? How is nobody talking and practically revered this guy? Why does he not have a statue outside of Marvel Studios?
They're working on it.
Why is, seriously, nobody's talking about this. Everybody talks about Thor and Robert Downey Jr. and they talk about this and that and
Maybe he just
and this
likes-
great story and that great story. No one's talking about Kevin Feige.
Maybe he just likes to stay under the radar.
Who would have thought to cast Chris Evans as Captain America?
When he had done
Human Torch.
He was Human
twice.
Torch. I mean, taking a risk on Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. How do you know that he's not going to relapse and completely implode and end up on TMZ after a bender?
That could actually work depending on the plot of the next Iron Man movie.
Hey.
Well, he practically did in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So that, okay. But he took a lot of risks. He brought in Kenneth Branagh as the director, which, by the way, he was in Infinity War.
He was?
As a voice actor.
Oh,
really? That's
Yep.
very cool. Was he one of the Black Order?
No, in the beginning of the movie, there's the distress call.
Oh.
That's him. That's his voice. Isn't that cool? But so he took a lot of risks in a lot of places, but he was able to put together a fundamentally good team. And when you talk about, everybody says that Marvel is the franchise. They have the formula down, and nobody can replicate it.
Nope.
The Dark Universe imploded before it even got off the ground. DCEU is trying and failing, but Marvel keeps nailing it, and it's because they have the Russo brothers, that's true, but Kevin Feige is
And they
the
have
one
Jon Favreau.
constant throughout all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 10 years now. Now, this is the guy, get this, his first 5 applications to the USC School of Cinematic Arts were rejected. It took him 6 tries to get in. And that's the same school that Lucas and Howard and Zemeckis graduated from. Took him 6 tries to get into that school. You think they feel a little bad now?
Not one
Nah,
bit.
not really.
It was the adversity that kept him.
Oh, that must be
Coming-
it.
yeah. The adversity that taught
the
him.
USC snobs will tell themselves that. He was originally hired by Marvel in 2000 as an associate producer for the X-Men movie. Remember the beginning of the X-Men trilogy
Yeah.
back around the, we can now say, turn of the century.
Stop
and
it.
that's scary.
Just stop it.
He became president in 2007, and everything after that we know is history. $15.6 billion for the MCU in box office revenue alone, let alone merchandising and everything else. DVD sales, comic sales, book sales, and all other sales. I mean, it's just crazy. And now that Infinity War is here, who would have ever thought that any movie could beat a Star Wars record
Well, there you go, Goose.
before the MCU came along? Could anybody else have done it?
Well, I don't know if anybody else could have done it, but I always thought somebody would.
Eventually, but
I mean, honestly, every Star Trek movie that came out, I thought would do really, really well,
and
I was really, really wrong.
until J.J. Abrams showed up,
No.
not so much. Well, we didn't even have a $200 million grossing movie in Star Trek until J.J. Abrams. So that's something. The highest grossing one was actually Star Trek 4, the one about the whales.
The Voyage Home.
Yeah, who knew? And now Avengers Infinity War is getting ready. It's going to break $1 billion by the end of this weekend.
Wow.
By the end of this weekend.
If it hasn't already.
And when you look at all the talent he has to bring together to make this work, think about the culmination, and he didn't screw it up.
I have to give him credit.
It's incredible. I'm waiting for like Time Magazine or USA Today or somebody to do a piece on this guy, because I think he really deserves. I think he deserves his day in the sun. I really do. It's incredible and phenomenal what he's been able to bring together, not just for Infinity War, but over the past 10 years.
Not to mention all how the comic book genres movies have just been reinvented.
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. He's the Michael Jordan of movie making.
Well, and really before the MCU started, before Avengers, really, every single superhero movie was pretty much a standalone character.
Essentially,
So,
yeah.
so you had Superman.
Yep.
You had Batman.
Yeah.
You never had a Justice League movie. Never had an Avengers movie. You had 2 Captain America made-for-TV movies and a Nick Fury made-for-TV movie.
Yep.
Which nobody saw.
You had a Justice League pilot that was horrible. You had The Flash in the 90s.
If you want to even go further back, don't forget those terrible Captain America TV movies.
Yeah, I talked about those.
Okay.
The 2 made-for-TV
Right.
movies. And then you had the series, but those were also standalone. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. You had Batman 66. So Feige was really the first one that found a way to make everything work together like we've always wanted.
Exactly. But be able to connect the movies to each other, but have them stand alone. This is my argument with that Star Wars has this problem, where they can't make their movies stand alone. They can't make their series stand alone. There's no way that Rebels was able to stand on its own because they kept throwing in all these characters that we'd seen in other series and other movies before. But Marvel's able to make them stand alone, but still reference each other. And it's done seamlessly. It's done in such a clever way, such a subtle way. Did you notice in Doctor Strange, for example, he's driving up the mountain before he gets in the accident, and he's going over the cases that they're sending him. And they mentioned a 35-year-old Air Force colonel who was has back vertebrae problems, and he was involved in some type of an accident with a metal suit.
Yep, and that was Rhodey.
And it was dismissed really quickly, so if you blink, you miss it. But it's those types of things that tie it together nicely, and it's all Kevin Feige. Some of it is the directors, but this guy assembles the cast. He is the Michael Jordan of movie producers, because nobody's been able to do what he did before, and nobody's been able to do it since.
Would you say he's more like a Greg Popovich?
No, because you still have Phil Jackson, you still have Red Auerbach, but
okay.
nobody did what Jordan did.
Yeah, you have Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah, but D'Antoni.
He's a coach.
Yeah, but he hasn't won anything. I mean, Phil Jackson has 10 rings.
That's true.
Yeah, Pop has 5?
Five.
5 rings. So and Red Auerbach is a legend, Pat Riley. So there's competition there. But nobody did before what Jordan did. You could make the argument for Magic and Kareem, but nobody has done it since, except for maybe LeBron, but he didn't have the rings yet.
Yeah.
And right now, Feige's the same way. Nobody has been able to replicate what he's done. And nobody was able to do it before. Never in the history of movie making have we had 22 films that have come together so well, so seamlessly, and have now ingrained themselves in our pop culture, in our very way of existence. I mean, we're here in this studio right now partly because of Kevin Feige.
Yep.
Because if Marvel falls apart after 3 or 4 movies, then the geek thing just kind of dies and that's it.
Oh, there's still the television shows and the other things.
Yeah, but it's not as big as it is now.
That's true.
Marvel's carrying the banner.
Star Wars?
Marvel's carrying the banner.
To a certain
I hate to
extent.
say it. I'm sorry, Star Wars fans everywhere.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Marvel's carrying the banner right now for all geeks everywhere. Fight me. Change my mind.
Do we need to put you in that meme?
Change my mind. I'm telling you right now, it's all about Marvel. Star Wars is floundering. They're trying to get it together, but they just can't. They have yet to hit a home run with the new movies in post-2012 Disney era.
They hit a home
Rogue
run in the
One.
last 5 minutes of Rogue One.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo, 5 minutes.
And we still have Solo coming up.
They're making money, but it's nothing like what Marvel's put together.
Well, I think to a certain extent you're just dealing with 2 different types of franchises.
Well, I
you
also
are,
think,
but
I have to think Solo's going to suffer from Last Jedi hate.
Unfortunately.
I think a lot of people are going to go see Solo based strictly off of Rotten Tomatoes.
And
Disney needs big Rotten Tomatoes help.
Yeah. And just because, and like Star Trek Beyond had the wrath of Star Trek Into Darkness
That's true.
working against
That's
it.
true. But I think if Solo was in the 40s or the 50s on Rotten Tomatoes, all the haters are going to come out and say, see, I told you, see. And people that are casual fans are going to be like, yeah, maybe I will wait till Netflix because look at all the hate that's out there.
But I think right now, Solo's starting to pick up steam.
If it does get into the 80s, or God forbid, the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, the haters are going to shut up. The positive momentum is going to build from there, and everybody's going to want to go see that movie because, oh my God, this could be a really good movie now. I think it all banks, and I'm sad to say that this is the way society is nowadays, but I think a lot of people are going to wait to see what happens with Rotten Tomatoes.
See, and I think that's a horrible, horrible, horrible barometer to wait for, because
I think so too. I think you should form your own opinion.
it's already proven that the Rotten Tomatoes algorithm is crap.
I like what Joshua Lasley says. Star Wars is life. Hashtag how dare you.
Look, I'm sorry, and let me get back to this. We got a couple of minutes left. Let me just wrap up. Let me wrap up the show with this. Look, yes, Star Wars is a pop culture phenomenon. Okay, it transformed things in the 70s and 80s. It is visually breathtaking, mind-blowing, to the point where Avengers Infinity War ripped off the Phantom Menace. Think about the battle at the end. Compare it to the battle at the end of Phantom Menace. You'll see I'm right. However, if you want to talk
I didn't see
about
the kid blowing up a ship.
I didn't see Jar Jar.
hang on, I'll talk to y'all off the air. We're running out of time here. Give me a break. But if you want to talk about the movies that really score well with people that say that was a good movie, that was a great movie, it's Marvel. They're leading the way in the entire movie industry, not just with geeks. But if you're going to go see a movie that makes you feel good, that you're happy about, that you're laughing, that you're crying, that you're emotionally invested in, it's Marvel. And you can say they're repetitive. You can say they got lousy villains, except for Thanos. You can say it's all about chasing a MacGuffin. You can say that. But you're still going to go see the next movie. You're going to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp. You're going to go see everything that has the Marvel stamp on it. They put the Marvel stamp on the first Ant-Man movie, for God's sake. And you know why they made that movie? I'm convinced they made it because someone dared them to. Someone said, okay, you can make good movies about Iron Man and Thor. Let's see you make one about Ant-Man and make it a success. I dare you.
I think they did it as
thing
a
they did
palate
with-
cleanser.
And they did it.
They did it with Guardians because everybody's like, who the heck are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Exactly. I'm telling you right now, for geeks, the majority of us everywhere, it's Marvel, baby.
Make mine Marvel.
Make mine Marvel. Hashtag make mine Marvel. Haha. Alrighty, so that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here. If you want to tweet at us, you can find us at GYGO_radio. You can shoot me an email at davethehost@getyourgeekon.org. That's my email. You can go ahead and do that. For Goose, for Minion, and for myself, I want to thank our sponsors, Laser Legend, The Mailing Spot, Havoc, and Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. I want to thank you for listening. Be excellent to each other, and make sure to get your geek on every single day. Good night, everybody.